Church of Mabus.
Into the light. That may be your fantasy.
Sexy.
Metaphysical.
The dark side.
Love haunted houses. I like anything horror. I like songs. All of it. All of it.
Deeper and 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 higher.
Oh yeah, me like it.
Higher, deeper and higher and higher and higher and deeper and deeper and higher
You mean I could go mad?
and higher, deeper. I am the Lord. Rocket, rocket.
I'm shaking.
The Church of
I'm
Mabus.
stoked. I'm ready. And awesome. This is awesome.
Whoa! Welcome back to Church of Mabus Radio Show. Coming at you live. Lotta. It echoes out there and just hopefully we cool with us. And Jay. Hopefully that's been out in a second. There it goes. All right, well, this month's just been terrible. But we missed 3 shows in a row, and I'm going to explain why we did that briefly. Which things happen, but this is the first time in the history we've ever missed that many shows in a row. But I need a break. It's been a long month, and my stepfather passed away at the beginning of the month, and my mom's 62, so I've been worried about her. And, I'm saying, I hope you ain't going to do that lovebird thing where, he goes and then you do it. That happens.
Right.
So, and death psychologically, man, it just always puts a work over on me. And my father passed away in my early 20s, so when my stepdad passed, it was kind of like reliving all that over, which was just, And when my dad, my dad died when I was in my early 20s, I went nuts, act like a nut ball. But I did pretty good this month. But anyway.
Feeling much better now.
I'm feeling a lot better. Yeah. I got the flu as we were, at the beginning of the month or something that was terrible. I made the mistake of going to Walmart.
Yeah. Right.
I don't think I'm ever going back there again. Something jumped on me from one of those buggies.
Yeah.
The zombie
Something about the lights.
But man, whatever I had, it was terrible. I thought I was going to croak. Really. But it was a weird month because after my stepdad passed away, I had a lot of experiences where I thought about the early 20s. I saw beings of light. So I started having these experiences where I'd go outside and I could have sworn either I was going crazy or that they were all around the planet and there's some kind of staging zone for the afterlife around the planet with these luminous.
Maybe it's kind of all the above. You're going crazy and it's happening.
I believe that on some level, and I want to ask our guests about that on some level as well tonight. Well, but anyway, and then, of course, Joe had his situation, which was bad, the hospital situation. Most of us know about that. That was bad. He's doing better. But I was worried about that, plus my stepdad, plus the flu. I was like, man, it's the end.
Like a mini apocalypse.
Yeah, this is the end, friend. But we're back, and we're kicking it hard. We got some great guests coming up. Let me, I was supposed to have that open, but I didn't. Hold on a second. I'm already scheduled for October. I got our Halloween guest, Paul. Oh, man, let me find his name, if I'll say it wrong. Like a Georgian like a Georgia boy. I will missay it. It's Paul Koudounaris. I'll spell it Koudounaris, and he wrote a book.
Halloween.
I'm trying to think of it. I can't. The name's weird too. It's like Mori Mori, the Book of the Dead, or something. But anyway, he goes around taking pictures of all these skeletons, like from ancient civilizations. Like there was a picture of a Roman king they dug up, and he had all these crazy jewels in his face.
Yeah.
So that's
They look like Serpentor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's going to be our guest for the Halloween show. But that's a long time. Let me go to the guests that are coming up real quick. May 1st, Reverend Deborah. She's going to be talking, she's got some pretty wild alien things going on. May 8th, Cryptozoology with Dave Coleman. And I believe White Doyle, his partner is going to be there. And we're just going to be discussing their new book that's totally about cryptozoology.
Cool.
May 15th,
Dave Coleman's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I love Dave Coleman. It'll be his third time. Third time here. May 15th, Pamela Necarato Lefredo. Man, I'm having terrible trouble with that.
A muffalado is a delicious sandwich.
Pamela Necarato Lefredo. She'd laugh at me, but she's going to come on. We're going to talk some smack about MUFON. May 22nd, Connie Willis from Coast to Coast AM. I got her rescheduled. May 29th, Garnet Schulhauser and Tracy Wardlow. That's a UFO panel show. Just we'll go over June real quick. June 5th, Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. We're going to be talking about his new book. June 12th, Are You Serious? This is this dude's real name, Are You Serious? And Jay Cornell, and then there's a book about transhumanism from Red Will Weiser. Thomas John, I think he wrote a book. I'll have to dig up. I'm trying to remember what his book is. I believe it's about Course in Miracles. If I'm wrong, slap me. June 26th, Mike Ameli. Man, it's I-A-M-E-L-E. With names today, I just need to stop saying names. But all right. Oh, yeah, briefly, I know what I was going to say. The thing that happened with the MUFON people, Chip did a complete show on it, Mind Cemetery Monday. And basically, just to summarize, someone came to their group and trolled them heavily, and they blamed me for it because of our beef last year with all those people. And they falsely accused me, been attacking me and saying terrible things about me. And Chip Pleasure, said, basically came to my defense because he knew that it wasn't me, and he knew what I was going through, and he knew that the person who was messing with them and bringing up MUFON being a corrupt entity with the government and Robert Bigelow was not me. So he did a whole show that was just excellent for an hour, just reaming them out, man. It was really good.
What happened to those guys?
I would just direct you all to that because I don't really want to go into it a whole lot. Energy for it. I got the strength and energy for our guest about shamanism, and that's what I got the strength and energy for, not for drama. But nonetheless, Chip Monday is supposed to have the real person on his show that actually did troll them that I got accused of being, which isn't me. So tune in Monday for that drama.
Maybe it'll get turned into further conspiracy, and they'll say that it's not actually the guy; it's just somebody that was made up.
Yes, they're crazy,
and it's not actually him that did it. It's just like a patsy, you know.
Yeah, they're crazy. I would not report UFO sighting to MUFON if it was the last thing I did on Earth because they'll just like fax it to. Yeah, it's not. I would avoid them completely. But I may be on Chip's show Monday. He wants me to, but his show's right when Bates Motel comes on, so I'm going to have to wait that out.
Yeah, Norman's going pretty off the chain. Yeah.
That show's good. It's twisted, but it's good. But nonetheless, Hannibal's better, but nonetheless, I still want to see it. I'd love to Can you say the lady's name that's on that show? Because I can't say her name either for the lady.
I can't remember it.
It's like Baramiga. It's weird. I'm like, I don't know what's going on with me and names tonight. My name's Jeffrey.
Farmiga, I believe.
Has a strange name, too. But, all right. Well, let's get to our guest. Itzhak Beery. Itzhak Beery. And Itzhak, make sure, am I saying your name correctly? Because I've been practicing all day.
You did very well today compared to the other names.
I was saying earlier, joking, dogs, if you don't be quiet, we're going to be some serious trouble. But I was saying earlier, your name sounds like a Star Wars dude, and that's a compliment. Your first name, it sounds like someone from Star Wars, which that's not me hacking on your name. That's a compliment. I like Star Wars. But, so what is that name? What's the origins of it?
Itzhak is the biblical name for Isaac, and the Hebrew translation of that it's the laughing man, or the man that will laugh. And
man that will laugh. That's right.
Yeah.
Cool. I like that. So say it one more time for everybody, and we'll go from there. We'll get to the interview. It's Itzhak
Beery. Yeah.
Beery. Okay, gotcha. Do you have a nickname?
You can call me Itzy.
I kind of like that. Itzy. All right. Well, I love your book, The Gift of Shamanism, Visionary Power, Ayahuasca Dreams, and Journeys to Other Realms. It's great to have you here talking about this because, I mean, unless you really look for shamanism or into it, I mean, a lot of the stuff it's hard to find, and I've been trying to get different guests on all the time. We've had Sandra Ingerman, Lynn Roberts, Serge Kahali King. I love that interview. I got struck by lightning during that interview on the phone by Serge Huna Shaman, and he goes, "That's a sign of great power." But so anytime I can find anyone about this subject, I get them on because it is a gift. And it's a gift that all our listeners get to tap into it as well. And I feel like on some level, it's raising awareness and it's doing something good for the planet and for, humankind when we talk about these types of subjects. So what I want to know is, Itzy, how did you get into shamanism? How did it start origins-wise?
It all happened by coincidence, and of course there's no coincidence. I had a lot of questions, and I kind of opened a book and read some experiences of other person, and I said, wow, that's something that I'm thinking about it too. And then I went on a trip to Ecuador with John Perkins, and we met many different shamans, and one of them resonated with me. And a year later, I came to visit him again, and I became his apprentice, and I did work with him for a couple of years, 3 years. Mm. And he's a Yachak from Ecuador, and I started to do that. Not really, I never really thought that would be something that I want to do. It just really happened. He pushed me to do that, and I started to do that, and I felt like, wow, that's something that is so powerful. And I started to help other people, and I seen all kind of different visions, and one thing led to the other.
I'm familiar with John Perkins and his books, and definitely love him. I love that information for sure. And
right.
Well, when it comes to, did you start having shamanic experiences that kind of opened you, and you knew that something was going on when this first started out?
I had, before I went on the trip with John, I had a series of dreams that I could not understand them, but when I came to Ecuador, they all revealed themselves. And I started to see that there is really no coincidence in our visions. And these visions in many ways foretell the future or telling us something about our life. And it became clear to me that there is more than just our reality. There is visions or dreams or déjà vus or that we experiencing. And I think that everybody have experiences like that. It's not something unique to a shaman. Or everybody have dreams that, or have feelings that something going to come, and they materialize. And really, the book, the Gift of Shamanism, is really about that. It's about encouraging people to talk about their visions and their dreams, and see the connection between our life here on this earth and the unseen world, that they do interact with each other and make a difference for people. And so that's really the purpose of this book, is to tell people my stories, but through them to encourage them to share it to share their own experiences and to take them seriously, and make their life better through that.
So in your experience, I've had shamanic experiences too, and if I listen to the voices, I'm a shaman as well. But that's what I wanted to ask you. I've always heard that, I don't think this is probably true on some level, but that a lot of people say that you shouldn't go around saying you're a shaman, or certain shamans say that. Does everyone that you know or everyone that you come across, or you yourself, do you go around just saying, I'm a shaman? Is that pretty normal for everyone?
Well, mostly every person have shamanic experiences. I don't call myself a shaman. I'm a shamanic practitioner. To be a shaman, you really have to be more than just a person who does healing or just see visions. You have to be the real meaning of the word shaman comes from the Tungus tribe in Mongolia, Siberia, and it really means the keeper of the fire. It means the person that is in charge of the well-being of a community, the keeper of the songs, the history. So the role of the shaman in a big way is not just to see or not just to heal or not just to be the counselor, but it's also to be a community well-being keeper. So many people can draw, maybe people can see visions, but to call yourself a shaman, you really have to be to take responsibility of a community.
All right. It sounds kind of like you'd have to be a source of inspiration naturally, and something like that.
Yes, and so to be called a shaman, usually it's the community that you take care of calls you a shaman, but not many shamans never really call themselves shamans.
Because it's something that they just do. It's a role that they just take up because it's or something like that.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I got into shamanism in my early 20s, and that's when I found the universe, so to speak. And then a year or so later, my dad passed away, and then I started looking into a lot of spiritual topics, from shamanism to druidism to all sorts of anything I could get my hands on. And I started to have a lot of weird experiences. I saw beings of light, like I was talking about earlier. A lot of UFOs, witnesses somewhere else. And I had a lot of one time I saw a Native American ghost just standing in my room with me. and it scared me, and I ran outside. But I've always studied shamanism, but I've always felt uncomfortable saying, "Oh, I'm a shaman, dude." It just feels weird. It doesn't feel right. I definitely think, like you said, everybody has the shamanic powers on some level. But one thing I'm curious about, what are some of the otherworldly experiences you've had? Because I see that you speak about spiritual entities that are both evil and benign. And that you've seen some of these spiritual entities. What can you tell us about that?
Well, in certain shamanic traditions, they believe that there are spirits that are roaming freely in and around the universe, looking to manifest themselves through other people. In the Brazilian tradition that I studied with my teacher for 12 years, it's called akuras, and they come in different shapes and forms, and they are independent forces that are not necessarily come to reside in your own body, but they are attacking or coming into play with different people. So there are some traditions that they don't believe in evil spirit or independent entities. Some traditions believe that it's all come from our own imaginations or our own fears, that we create that. But in my personal experience of doing healing work for people who come here to do extraction, and I do see them. I have this ability to see, and I've seen them quite a few times. And with the shamanic healing techniques, you can get rid of them, send them away, or do extraction of those entities.
So do these energy entities have a consistent appearance, or are they unique based on the individual?
Sorry?
Do these energy entities that you're drawing out of people, do they have a consistent appearance, or are they unique to the individual that you're drawing them from?
Well, these entities come in different shapes and different forms, depend on the situation for each person. Some of them come in forms of certain animals, and sometimes they come in certain shapes of humans, and they shape-shift sometime too. They're not necessarily one way. They appear one way or the other.
Right. It just is kind of.
And do they? I would think if they come in forms that that you're familiar with too, right? Like for instance, like if somebody would think an angel or a devil or something like that, I think they kind of, from what I've heard from different people, they kind of react to like you or something on that level. Do you think that's true?
It's hard to tell how they come and how you see them. Sometimes people experience them in, like you've seen spirit in your own home, right? That not necessarily. Sometimes they do come in form that you're familiar with, like Native American person or a ghost, and sometimes they shapeshift into something else. It's not necessarily one way. That's why you have to be right. You have to be able to understand what they are. Or many people see ghosts or see spirit, and they are afraid to communicate with them.
So that's really interesting, because it really seems like it would come across, because a lot of times I've experienced what we call like parapsychology, paranormal activity. If I visually experience something, it starts out as kind of an impression, or like kind of like I'm sensing it, and then it kind of just materializes in a way. And so how would you compare these entities to something like a tulpa?
Like what?
Like a tulpa, like a thought form. Is it similar to that?
I'm not familiar with that, but from my own experience, there are entities that are looking to enter into people's body to suck energy, and usually they come to people who experience fear or have a trauma, and that's really the opening for these entities to enter into their energy field or to their body.
Right. So it's kind of like a breakdown in your force field.
Yes.
So with a one.
What are some ways that you can keep them away? Because I think I might deal with that on some level, or in my past, or like what are some ways to, if you don't want them there, to get rid of them, especially if they're not after your best interest?
Well, there are many different shamanic techniques to protect yourself from evil spirits. But the first one, which is the most important one, is to keep your energy field in balance. In other words, not to hold fear, terror in your body, to be balanced. But there are many different techniques. Once you have that, to remove that, of course, it's saging and cleansing. Taking bath with sulfur, with sea salt bath, to put ammonia in it, or to take a beer bath. There's many different ways to remove. But it's once they enter into your body, then you really want to ask to find a shaman or a person who can do that. To remove them, and that require extensive ceremonies that I studied to do, and you really need to do that a few times, a few consecutive days to remove it. And once it's removed, people feel incredibly different.
So it's a type of banishing, in a sense, where you just balance yourself out. Kind of shrug off anything that might be hanging on.
That's soul retrieval too, right? That's part of what soul retrieval is, right?
Well, soul retrieval is a little different than evil spirit or extraction. Soul retrieval happened to or soul loss actually happened for people who experience trauma. Or fear, or been in accident or other situations like that, where part of their soul is leaving to avoid the pain the pain of the experience, and then some emptiness happening in the body, and that's a soul loss. And when you do a soul retrieval, you're looking to find that energy back to the person's body. They feel complete. They feel their life are coming back to them.
Gotcha. And in your intro, it says, I'm going to ask you this, and then we're going to get Jay. You're still there, right, Jay? Just making sure.
I'm here.
Okay. No, you were, but after this, we're going to let you take over for a minute or so, more than a minute, of course. but I see from skeptic to believer, a skeptic.
Well, I was born in Israel in a kibbutz, which is it's a commune of secular people who actually vow not to believe in God or in any kind of spiritual practices, Judaism. So for us, religion or spirituality was not something that we practice or we look down upon. So for me, questioning every experience like that was pivotal for me. I was born, I guess, skeptic or questioning all these experiences for many years. I was afraid to be taken. So when I had these experiences, I try to dismiss them. I try to see that it's not true, that maybe I just made them up, or But as I experienced them more and more showed up in my life, I could not dismiss them anymore. And that's why I started to write these stories in many ways, partly because I wanted to record them, but also to convince myself that these stories are true. And one thing that I did to make sure that they are correct is that every time that I experience events like these, I had a dream about someone, or I had a vision of something, or I saw something in shamanic journeys, I immediately called the person that I was the subject of that vision and asked him or her if it's true. And when these experiences, when the answers kept on coming that it's true, I could not anymore deny it. I had to say that, something is going on there. There are interventions of spirit from the other world into our life. And I use it a lot in my work. I see vision and I speak to spirit. I ask them questions and they give me information about my clients, and I relay them to the clients, and they always say that it's true. This is exactly what happened. And like today, I worked with a client, and we did a soul retrieval for her, and I found that she was hiding a little box under her bed with all her treasures, and this box was taken away from her. And since then, since she was a still little child, she was still missing that part of her, that part that was keeping all this her little secret there. And we brought that piece back, and she was incredibly grateful to that information. So, yeah.
I love this. I love this information. It's like I get excited. Jay, what do you want to ask?
Well, I thought I had an idea what a shaman or shamanism was, but after hearing you guys describe it, it sounds more like spiritual. For me, I thought it was more like they were in charge of keeping the community they were a part of healthy, and they also might have been like a marriage counselor, a guidance counselor, a psychologist for the tribe or group thereof. So if you wouldn't mind, could you describe in terms of different tribal communities what a shaman what his roles really are for that community?
Well, there are many different types of shamanic work or shamans. There are shamans who are they are counselors. There are shamans that do ceremonial work and rituals. There are shamans who are doing healing work, and there are shamans that are in charge of the spiritual well-being of a community, the stories, the history. There are many different roles for the shamans. But if you want to kind of like define the shamanic work, it's a person that travels between this world and the other worlds or the unseen worlds, speak to spirit and bring information back to the person that they work with and to the community to make their life better, to bring back life, to bring a balance back to these people's life. That's really the work of the shaman.
So depending on the different communities, it depends on how many roles or how few or how many they would have. So I wasn't totally off on it. I had just a very vague, idea of what a shaman actually was. Now, about the ayahuasca, if I'm pronouncing that right, as I understand it, that's sort of a brew that's kind of local to like Bolivia and Peru, and it's something that the shaman used to, say, travel to that other world?
Yes. Ayahuasca is not the only plant that shamans use to travel to the other world, to the unseen world, to bring information. There are many others. Ayahuasca is used is a vine that grows in the Amazon, in Peru and Ecuador and Colombia and other places. Like the climate is hospitable for that, and it's the bark is peeled off the vine and is cooked with chacarona leaves. Both of them create the chacarona has a DMT which creates visions, and it is used by shamans or ayahuasqueros for healing. Not necessarily just for vision. The ayahuasca, the main purpose of using it is to create purging of and cleansing the digestive system. It's very bitter, and it kills parasites and viruses and bacteria that are growing in the stomach. And through the ceremony, people vomit or discharge of all the what we call negative energy or the block, the emotional and physical blocks that they are carrying in their body. The other side effect of that is the visions, and the vision is the come from the plant, or and they are connecting you to the matrix of the universe, and bring you visions for your life, or to understanding the cosmology of the world, or how the world works. Any messages, personal messages for yourself. It's a very powerful brew that in many cultures it's done or prepared differently, and the ceremonies are differently.
We just had a good question in the chat room, and you described some of the physical side effects. Are there any spiritual side effects, whether negative or positive, to using ayahuasca?
Well, the spiritual effect of it is that you really connect with the matrix of the universe. That you understand, you really get in contact with that notions that we are all connected with filaments of energy, that we are not separate from anything, that we are one and the same with the universe, that every action that you take is vibrations that affects others. The important part of the ayahuasca is the feeling that you are connected to the universe, that we are one. And you're not separate from plants, from trees, from the animals, from water, from the jungle. I think that's the message from ayahuasca. But then again, you have visions that are specific for each particular person. It depends on the intention of the person that takes the ayahuasca, what it comes into, and many people experience differently. It works differently for each person, depending on where he or she is in her life at that particular moment. Some people see a lot of visions. Some people don't see visions at all, but they have feelings. Some people feel incredible happiness and joy. Some people have a very, very strong and evil experiences. They meet aliens, that they meet other entities that are come in different shapes and forms. It's not you can't really tell when you go into it what you're going to come out of it.
Well, I've never done ayahuasca, but I have done DMT. I wish ayahuasca grew in Florida, let me tell you. It only grows in South America, right? Where does it? That's the only place?
It is. It's growing in the Amazon. You have to have a specific climate to grow this vine. But I understand that in Florida you have the tura, and the tura is another plant or shrub that also used for visions.
Really? I'm going to have to write you an email about that one. I've never heard of that.
The tura is the trumpet plant. You know, it's white. You know what I'm calling it? It's.
How do you spell that first word? The tura. How do you spell that?
The tura. It's a Detura, I think. The tura.
Okay, I might have heard of that. The tura, but I've never done it. I didn't know it was in Florida, but I'm going to look into that.
but I know that there are people who are trying to grow ayahuasca vines also in. Well, it grows in Hawaii. The climate is very good for that, and I heard of somebody who actually grew it here in New York. So, but it is it really needs to be in the Amazon. It's growing in the Amazon, and I believe that when you want to do ayahuasca, you probably want to do that in the place where it grows. And all plants have the spirits of the plant belong to the place where they grow. So you want to do plants that grow in Florida to get the medicine of the space of the place itself.
The only thing I knew about down here was everybody's always looking for shrooms on cow poopy, and that's the only thing I knew about. Shrooms in a very long time, but wouldn't mind doing them. I think my biggest problem with this stuff is finding it. And then down here with the crazy police and stuff, my God, you get caught with that. You don't. You're going to the big house. They treat it like crack rock or something. But I'm kind of curious to your thoughts on death. What do you think happens when someone, when they die? You think it's they completely cross over and they're still a whole being and they're aware? What do you think the death process is like? I just lost a family member and I've kind of obsessed on it, and I finally calmed down about it. Like, I had a period to where I was just freaking out about death all the time and thinking about it too much and freaking out, but finally I just kind of accept that, it's just the way it goes, brother. But I'm kind of curious to what you think the death process is and how that is and the afterlife and stuff like that.
In the shamanic tradition, we look at everything that is in what we call the middle world, the world that we live in now, that's the world that we experience in the five senses, as a world of dreams, as a world that does not exist, because everything that is in this world is made of energy. Our body is basically water and some calcium, magnesium, and other chemicals. All plants, all trees, all rocks, all water is all atomic particles that are running in different shapes and different forms. So the only thing that really permanent is our soul. And when a person leaves that realm, what we call reality, the soul leaves and travels. So death is the death of what we call death is a transformation of the physical body, but the soul continues to live. there are many different belief systems about that. That some soul transfer into trees or to animals, or they shapeshift into other things, and some souls coming back on their own decision to re-experience, to rework on their life purpose on this earth. So death is not real in the shamanic tradition. It's just a transformation. It's a way for the soul to move on to a different mission. If that makes a consolation for you.
I'm just kind of curious because I think I forgot that. Yeah, I did forget to ask you. You were born in Israel, right? What is your background race-wise? Like, I'm trying to figure that out. You were born in Israel?
I was born in Israel too. My parents were born in Poland and Belarus or Russia. They are Jewish, and my great-grandfather was a Kabbalistic rabbi and a healer. He dealt with the questions of the good and evil, and the fight or the struggle between the two forces of the universe. I only found out about it 3 years ago after I was doing this work. I found that some person from our family found some letters that he wrote, or somebody wrote about him. And so maybe some parts of his soul went to me. You never know. But I think that the shamanic experience or these experiences have no race or no particular specialization to any. It's with every person on this earth. If it makes sense.
I see that you had some experiences. We're going to go on break in a little bit for about eight minutes, and then we'll come back for the rest of the show. But we got a little bit of time left. I see you had some experiences with balls of light. I also have seen balls of light many times.
You did?
Yes, I have, and
wow.
I've seen them. I see them in the sky a lot, way up, but I've seen them really close too. Like I've seen some leaving my house before. Like it looked like they were just flying away from my house, like they visited it. Kind of curious what about your experience with that, and what do you think those are?
Well, I can't really explain them much because I was very young when that happened. But it was a reoccurring dream, and I'm not sure if it was a dream or something that it was really true. I saw these two ball of light chasing each other and circling in the sky, and at the end one swallowed the other, and that was a common dream that repeated itself for many years. I never made sense of it. It could be what you think it is. It could be something else. I never really made a decision of what it was, but all I know is that it was
light, and that's what we are on some level, or those things when we're out of our bodies on some level. That's what I kind of think. We got Joe Beazle got dropped. He just wrote me on Facebook. If you could give him a ring, let me know if you still need his number. Let me see, balls of light. And, also Lynn Roberts, who was on here recently, she just wrote a book with Sandra Ingerman. She was talking about all these different tribes, seeing these balls of light in the sky, and, she studied with different tribes from Siberia to all over the place, and they talked about seeing red and blue, like, balls of light. I've seen those, too, before. Actually, I had friends be able to see too. At the same time, my friend goes, it seems like you're attracting them. And I was in my early 20s, freaking out. It wasn't just if that was the case. But, yeah, I think that's a common shamanic experience.
Yes, if you, I spend a few weeks in the Amazon every year, and then when we were in the depths of the Amazon in Brazil, during the night when there was no lights around, there's no lights there, but when the moon was dark, you could see these balls of light traveling between the trees, and that's quite an amazing experience to see these energy balls moving in and around the trees in the darkness. They believe that those are spirits, and there could be spirit of the dead or the ancestors, or that could be spirit of the animals that were dead there. There could be spirit of the land. That it's definitely an experience that you want to go see.
I don't know if we've had Artie Six Killer Clark on, her ARDY Six Killer Clark, and she has a book called Sky People. And she went down there to South America and gathered from a lot of the Mayan descendants in South America all these stories of UFO stuff. And it's a pretty interesting book. You should check it out. It's pretty interesting, some of the stuff these people, these different people from the villages and stuff told of these stories. And man, there's some weird stuff. And
they're all very real. My Brazilian teacher, Ipupiara, talked about it as a matter of fact. The people in the Amazon, in the Rio Negro area, they live with that as part of their life. They don't think that that's very strange. Actually, his tribe is called the people of the stars. So they have a very strong connection to this phenomena, and they know that other cultures are visiting them quite frequently.
Definitely, and we'll have to get into that some more when we come back. We're going to go on break right now for about 8 minutes, and it's Itzhak Beery's book is The Gift of Shamanism, Visionary Power, Ayahuasca Dreams and Journeys to Other Realms by Destiny Books, and I believe that's an offshoot of Inner Traditions, because that's how I hooked up with you, isn't it? Yeah, Inner Traditions. And we'll be back shortly, and you're listening to the Church of Mabus radio show. Itzhak and everybody, just don't hang up, and we're going to go on break, and we'll be back in about 8 minutes.
All right, we'll be.
Whoa! Did you hear?
Listen to the Church of Mabus radio show, hosted by Jeffrey Pritchett.
7
p.m. Eastern.
Friday.
Nice. Follow your weird and journey into the high strange. Be sure to stop by churchofmabusradio.com for upcoming shows, paranormal news, and show archives. That's churchofmabusradio.com. The Church of Mabus.
I'm stoked.
Welcome to the Church of Mabus radio show. We have our guest with us, Itzhak Beery, books The Gift of Shamanism, Visionary Power, Dreams and Journeys to Other Realms. And hopefully that little echo's going to go away in a minute. Sounds like I'm in a cave. That's right. Let me see. Okay, I know what I was going to ask you. I was looking, I got it marked in your book when I was reading it, your section on candle reading. And for some reason it made me remember a weird experience I had back in my wilder days. I know I was partying and messing with some kind of psychedelic. But now if I was to do, I don't know if I can do psychedelics. I'll end up in the emergency room because I'm a little chubbier these days at 40. But what happened is I remember looking at a candle, and there was a flame, and it was almost like I merged with the flame, and my body became the flame, and there was a big burst of light, and I looked down. First I looked out the window, and there was I think it was a Chinese man putting out a fire outside in his garbage can in the yard over, and then and there was a window closed and everything, so there's no way the fire from him came inside. Well, maybe on a spiritual level, but
right.
a Siamese cat too, and she was singed. And it was almost like something weird happened with me in that flame. I remember having some fake magazine. There was an article about trial by fire or something weird. Or maybe I almost spontaneously combusted. It scared me. But I'm not sure.
I combusted the Persian cat. Yeah,
that was a long time ago, and it was really weird. I don't think I've ever talked about that on the show before. But that candle reading chapter kind of made me remember that. And it's something I haven't thought about in a long time. But what is candle reading exactly?
The tradition of reading fire or the flames of fire is a very old tradition that you can find in Guatemala, in Bolivia, in Ecuador, and other places in the South America. They look at the flame and they talk to that. They connect with the movement and the texture and the direction of the flames, and they receive messages from the flame. I was in Guatemala at the end of the World celebrations in 2012, and I've seen that over and over again, how people are concentrating on the flames to receive information, and it's the same thing in the candle reading, which is used by many shamans in Ecuador. And what we do is we ask people to brush the candle over their body, and the wax is absorbing the person's energy, the physical energy, emotional energy, and spiritual energy. And once you light the flame, you can concentrate on the flame and you can start seeing visions. Those visions could be of the well-being of the person, the health-wise or mental, and some of them you can see people who they are engaged with. Could be ancestors, it could be places where they visit and all of that. And I teach that to people how to read candles. It is something that my teacher from the Itzhak from Ecuador was doing so fantastically, and I could not understand how he does that. And it took me 2 years sitting behind him to really understand how he does that. But now I teach it for people in the North and Europe. I teach it in a weekend workshop, and the results are amazing. People are able to diagnose sicknesses and emotional sicknesses and the well-being of people quite surprisingly. So what you are looking for is you're looking for the direction of the wick, the colors, the scheme of the flame. You're looking at the drips of the wax, and each color and each texture have different meaning, a different symbolism that you can decipher it, and you can tell the future or the past or the consistency of the person. It's a fantastic way of a diagnostic way for the shamans to work with their clients, because many times you don't really need the clients to talk. What you do is you ask them to brush the candle, and then you light it, and you can the healing process very very accurate, and issues that a person never really talked about. It comes through the candle reading, and the healing can be done a lot faster.
What about the shadows that are around because of the fire? Like, do you ever interpret anything like from the reflections of the shadows outside of the candle?
Yeah, you can interpret the shadows. You can interpret the direction of the flame, the size of the flame, the height of the flame, the color within the flame, because you can see that there are blues and they have greens and purple, and you see the brownish and the clouds and all of that. And it comes from the philosophy or the understanding that around each of us, or there is an energy field that is surrounded with a shield, and it's like a balloon that each person carry around them, and in that particular energy balloon, we store our memories, and we store our traumas and feelings and events of our life, and some ancestors. Part of the healing process is to clear the energy field around a person, and that is the same way that we see in the candle reading.
Okay. Now, earlier, before I got cut off, we were talking about how it seems that part of your practice is to reintegrate a part of your soul that fled your energy field because of pain. Mm-hmm. And it's really interesting, like what you're talking about is it seems like Carl Jung probably based a lot of his theory off of a lot of shamanic practices or these types of practices, because what he was talking about is one of the hardest things for us to avoid is to having all of our parts become autonomous from one another because of trauma or because we get fractured or some painful event that causes us to separate. Mm-hmm. So he's talking about that from a psychological model, where it appears that you're talking about it from a spiritual practice or discipline or just a way of life. But it's really similar. The idea of integration, like reintegrating all of your parts together. Is that where you're going with that? In psychology, sometimes they call it disassociation. That some part of you disassociate from yourself. But in the shamanic tradition, we don't call it disassociation. We call it soul loss, because we believe that there are different parts of your soul that we have a group of souls in our what we call soul, and so this particular soul, it happens a lot. Let's say in sexual abuse, where the victim or the child don't feel any more pain when that happens, and the idea is that there's something shut off. That part that feel the pain was released. It's no longer feel the pain of that abuse. Yeah, and it's just how you're surviving. You're surviving the experience. Right. It
is a survival mechanism for the person to continue to live life. And if a person experiences many of those things, there are what we call emptiness, or there's a hole in the energy field that he has.
Right.
And the role of the shaman is to find the reason, to track the soul where it left, and to bring it back and blow it back into the person's energy body, so they can reunite. But not all soul part wants to come back. It depends on the person if he's willing to accept that.
Yeah. If you really want to end it, or reunite it, then you have to accept it. Yeah.
When the soul leaves, it is for the person's survival, and so when the shaman goes to track and bring it back, the person that his client wants to bring it back, and integrate it back into their life.
Right.
Some people.
It's almost like before. It's almost like before you couldn't live with it, and now you're at a point where you almost can't live without it.
Yep.
Or you need it back again. Yeah.
Well, you have to ask the soul part permission, or if they want to come back. I have experienced sometimes that this soul part is not ready to come back, and you can't force it to come back. Because if you do, the nightmare or the pain will come back, and the person was not able to deal with it. So it's like you get unzipped almost. Yeah, they need to be able to. If you try to force something. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So you have to be very careful. Right. It seems like maybe part of the reason why everybody can potentially exhibit shamanic powers or abilities, but aren't necessarily shaman, is because one thing that most people have in common is that we all experience some type of a trauma or life-changing events. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's what helps everyone relate to each other in that way, and then also relate to themselves in the same fashion. Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
What about holographic experiences? What is that? Well,
I call it holographic experiences because it's vision that come to me in a way like holograms. It's visions that are in space with open eyes that they materialize from thin air. And I can't really explain exactly how that happened, but if you look into space, you start to see visions. It's three-dimensional. It's like looking at real people, and you can communicate with them and ask for information, and they sometimes give it to you, sometimes not. But it's so I can't really explain how holographic images come. But they definitely appear to my eyes, and are very useful. And I'm not sure that it's almost like a daydreaming type of visions with your eyes open.
I've seen something. You reminded me of one of my experiences. This is back in my psychedelic days, but I was at a lake, and it was Halloween, and I saw these beings that were very reptile-like, and they were weird. They were like dinosaur people or something, and it was like a hologram. It was like they were definitely not physical, but it was one of the weirdest things that's one of the weirdest things I've ever seen, and I'll never, ever forget it.
Well, like imagine, I think that for you to experience that, you have to make a transition. And I think that's what the gift of shamanism is giving you the ability to transform yourself from one state of consciousness into another at will, and see in the unseen world. So you have to, if you will try to see it in the awakening time that you are currently in, and concentrate on that, you probably would not be able to. You have to enter into a different state of mind, and like walk into a trance-like state to be able to see that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do know what you mean.
I've always felt like I need some kind of tool from the plant kingdom to see some of that stuff. I've had a few experiences where I wasn't like that at all, but sometimes it just feels like I have experiences like that, or is it pretty common for you just to have them just plain butt old sober?
I think that many people experience visions like that when they are daydreaming, when they are losing this on what we call reality. They're transforming themselves into, or they're dreaming. They experience it and they dismiss it. They say, "Oh, that could not be it," you know. But I think that a lot of people naturally have experiences like that. And in the book, I really want people to see that this is totally legitimate. It's okay to dream, to transform from one place to the other, to transcend, that it's okay, that it's not daydreaming. You know, you have to remember that as children, when we are daydreaming, and children do daydreaming quite often, adults always tell them, stop daydreaming, right? Be real, be real, be real.
Yeah.
Well, that's cut off the spontaneity of children, or their ability to, and for adults to trust that what they see have meaning. Right? So I think
or just to let your daydream, you know, I mean, it's sometimes, I mean, I love to daydream and space out and imagine things. And I do that like any opportunity that I have. But yeah, I mean, I just think sometimes people just don't let themselves do that.
Yeah, one thing, the reason I was asking is because in Michael Harner's newest book, Cave and Cosmos, which is really good too, he talks about not needing anything for those kind of experiences, that you can use a drum. And when I first read that, I was like, a drum? Like, I've listened to drumming and stuff like that, but like he was telling stories about, you know, shamans just using their drum and traveling to, you know, other locations and stuff. I was like, man, I need a drug. I don't know if a drum.
Well, the drum helps.
The drum's very powerful. What do you think about the drum?
Well, you know, in certain cultures, shamans use drums. In some cultures, they use rattles, and some they use sounds of chants or the ikaros or other vibrational instruments to help us enter into the shaman state of mind. And the idea is that the vibrations of the drums or rattles or others, lowering the wavelength of our brain, it takes us from the beta, which we are now, into an alpha state, which is like a deeper state of brain waves. And that's really the state of consciousness that we are talking about. You lowering your vibrations of, and it's very much like meditation. When people meditate, after 15, 20 minutes or so, they're losing track of space-time, so they can enter into a different consciousness. And with a drum or rattles or song, it's a lot easier, faster to get into. But in many cultures, shamans train themselves, and I think that's what happened to me too, train themselves to lower the vibration of the brain without any assistance of drum or other instruments, or without ayahuasca and other plant medicine. And that's really what the power of the shaman is, to be able to access this state of mind whenever he or she needs to do it without going into a preparation.
Right. You might have to do it instantly, you know, if you're in a situation where you have to defend yourself or defend someone else, or you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And it really seems like in my experience, a lot of times, like using a drug or using a tool or a trapping just helps me make a connection to an idea, which then changes my consciousness, which then allows me to see more clearly or more creatively, or to become more receptive. So that's kind of like my experience in that extent. Like when you get plugged into something, it's more like you're building a relationship. So that eventually, like say, I can kind of reinduce any type of psychedelic experience that I've had, and I can kind of recall the feeling without being on psychedelics.
Yes,
like
and
that frame of mind.
Nice. I need to do that.
well, in the shamanic journeys, people experience visions that are at least as powerful or stronger than when they use either drugs or ayahuasca or other plant medicine. Or it is my teacher from Ecuador usually said that what you need is to train your brain not to use other assistants, because that assistant, you can't take ayahuasca just every 5 minutes to have a vision.
Yes.
You really have to trust your ability, and you have to train your mind to go into the trance state of consciousness, so you'll be able to see all around you. And many shamans live in that state where they can switch back and forth between reality, what we call reality, and the other realities. And living
like one foot in, one foot out.
Exactly. And then that's really the power of the shaman, is to be able to do that at will. Not as we have people who are schizophrenic, who we call them schizophrenic, but these are people who see or connect to spirit and visions without any kind of boundaries. We need to teach them to build boundaries like that, but they are living in an open door to the other side.
If you can, it's almost like using the drug, using the drum, using all these things condition you to a point, and then you should be able to eventually just do it.
Exactly.
Without the trappings. Yeah. And people who are bipolar or schizophrenic, that type of thing, if we can build up, like you say, shore it up a little bit, and just realize what's going on, it is very much like that, in being in and out. Like you're right next to it. It's almost like you can't get any closer than being there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One thing I really wanted to ask you, and then I'm going to let Jay turn it over to Jay. I'm kind of curious what your thoughts are on marijuana, shamanically speaking. I know I've read in Carlos Castaneda that he always said it harms your energy bodies and stuff. And I like those Castaneda books, but I know there's some questions and things about him. Not to talk you a little bit dead, but I interviewed Amy Wallace, who is the author, Irvin Wallace's daughter, and he was involved with Castaneda, and she wrote a book called Sorcerer's Apprentice, and it goes into crazy, weird cult abuse, crazy stuff. So I'm not always sure he's the best go-to on everything, but I still respect his work. But he obviously, if any of that's true, he had some madness that was kind of crazy and out there. But I'm kind of curious what do you think about marijuana as far as plant medicine? I mean, what do you think about it?
Well, it is a plant medicine. You can use it in any plant medicine. You can use it or abuse it. So, for some people it works, and for some people not. Some people get very paranoid. Some people get very bad experiences. Some people get good experiences. I think experiences and choose the one that actually empower him, not the one that takes away his power. And I've seen people who really taken away their power, and they became like what Carlos Castaneda was saying. It's not empowering. You become enslaved to them. So, but on the other hand, I don't think that every person that take San Pedro or ayahuasca is always becoming more powerful. I'm not quite sure that, and I think that they're in the ayahuasca field. I'm not sure that taking more ayahuasca and using it, every day or very often is actually making the people more powerful.
Wears them down probably on some level. Their sensories and stuff, I would think, doing it. I think that happens with pot too, in my experience.
I think I only like to do ayahuasca once. And then I think that's all I would need to do it if it was going to do anything to help me. Yeah.
I'd probably freak out on it, but I've done DMT before, but they call that the businessman's acid trip. Real quick.
Yeah. Well, ayahuasca in traditional societies are done when people are in a need to do that. They don't do that when people are curious. They do it when people
recreationally
they do it when people are sick or when people need emotional help. So it's done medicinally. It's not done for recreation. It's not done because I'm curious to know what it will be.
Yeah.
It's done because exactly. So I think that what happened now is that people are curious. They want to try it. They don't have any background in working with spirit or encountering spirit, and they go cold turkey, and some of them get really bad experiences, and because they don't know how to integrate them.
Right.
Well, definitely, and I can relate to the some of the marijuana stuff, maybe doing it too much and stuff like that through my my years. You're getting some good positive feedback in the chat room. They love you in our chat room in here. We're enjoying it too, of course, heavily. It's that's what I was saying. We're like students getting schooled by the shaman dude. That's great.
Yeah, the shaman dude.
Some mad props in the chat room. So just letting you know, we're gonna let Jay take over for a second. I mean, not a second, but a little longer than that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm learning a lot, too. I had a much broader view of what a shaman or shamanism is now. But just before the break, you briefly mentioned the tribe and the shaman that you trained with. They're called the People of the Stars, and you said they were aware of other beings and or civilizations in the universe and or galaxy. How exactly are they aware of that? Was it through shamanistic experience, or was it physical, like, flesh and blood, creatures to creature kind of a meeting, or maybe both? How do they know there are other creatures in the universe besides this one planet?
Well, if you live in the Amazon and there's no other source of light, and you see these, you see them coming down at you, and they light the Amazon in the middle of the night, you know that it's not coming from here. It comes from other places, and they have so many stories about that that it's for them it's part of life. It's a fact. It's not something that they guess that is happening, or they don't need to. They live with that. They live with that experience. It's like they live with the dolphins in the river. They know that it's there. There's no questions for them because who's going to come, and they usually the sources are coming in very fast, and they leave very fast, and they're either hovering over the Amazon, and they leave. So for them, it's not a spiritual experience. It's not a shamanistic experience. It's really part of life, part of nature. Of course they are. Of course they are. And for them, it's not even a question if. They just know it's there. They see it.
Yeah.
So it's a physical experience with them. It wasn't through like shamanistic ritual that they contacted these other civilizations, but just from their viewing these creatures or these beings, these spaceships coming down to Earth. Now, have you yourself, have you had an experience with the UFO, or have you seen another civilization through your shamanistic experiences?
No. I wish I did, but I went to the Amazon many times, and I was hoping to encounter that. Never did. I'm sorry. I am really sorry that I did not have that experience. I don't know how I would react to it, but I personally never did. But, my teacher had experiences like that, but he was native, so he grew up in places like that. So he had experiences like that.
And that
people think you're...
Oh, sorry. In that Artie Six Killer Clark book, Sky People, she talks about some of them tell stories of these big blue giants coming down and stealing women, man. That's freaky to think about if that's even true at all.
I don't know. I don't know about that. All I know that these they talk about those creatures coming down from their vehicles and examining people and taking people up. I mean, it's part of their everyday stories. I don't know about blue people.
Probably bad thing, though.
I mean, I've never seen that, so I can't. If I've seen, I mean, that's part of being skeptic. I only write in the book things that I personally experienced, like past life or dreams or holograms or soul retrieval, things that I personally experienced, because if somebody would tell me the stories that I wrote about, I would probably think that he's crazy. Mm-hmm. So I needed to verify. I cannot take away my experiences. So it's really the experiences I write about is experiences that really happened, and I could verify that they are absolutely true, and they were, So and I think that's part of why I wrote this book. I think it's also because our society now become more and more digitally oriented, and most of our information comes from flat screens and iPhones. We have all the information there, and we're creating virtual reality and virtual communities, and our life ourselves, we don't really experience them. And the shamanic gift is to allow ourselves to re-experience life like what it used to be, so we can really live life fully. And I think I call this the big shutdown of the senses, because you can only experience it through your senses and through your sixth sense. And the shamanic experience through all these beautiful ways, the techniques to vision, allow people to reconnect with that magic or with that mystery that is so important for our life.
Well, Diesel got dropped, but he's going to go ahead and go. He just wanted to tell you thank you for the interview, and tell Jay thanks for the interview, and he enjoyed it, but I don't know, it might be his phone or something, but we don't have much longer. We got about, about 12 minutes left. But yeah, this extraterrestrial UFO stuff, when I talk to different people about shamanism and this topic, man, this is some wild stuff. I definitely, I've seen, UFOs before, to a point to where they were attracted to me and over my home, and my brother and nephew and my mom, different family members, my sister, seen them too, and all my life I've attracted them. So that's why I guess I've been kind of drawn to shamanism. There's some kind of connection there on some level. I've also freaked out to a point of being so scared I thought I'm an alien, or I haven't left my house in a while. When I first started happening, I was afraid to leave my house.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't remember ever anything weird like being taken and, you know, the whole probe scenario. Like, if that happened, they've totally just mind wiped me, and I don't remember a damn thing at all. but I have seen some UFOs really low, and I've wondered, man, are they like sucking me up there? I don't even know it. There's no telling.
I can only talk about it if I experience it, and since you experience it, you should really talk about it and spread the word. I think it's very important. Well, you know, in the shamanic tradition, we know that we are not here alone. That is not something that is a question that humans here are not alone. And we, in many shamanic traditions, they all talk about people that come from the stars, and they know which stars they come from, especially in the Amazon, because they are so open to the sky at night. They see. Have you been to the Amazon?
No, I haven't.
No, me neither.
I'm in Florida. It feels like it. I'm sure.
There's no other source of light than the stars and the moon, and so your experience of all the celestial bodies are personal, and when you see the lights coming, then you know that the light's coming. It's not something else. So they have a very strong connection to the people from the stars.
Definitely.
Yeah, and it's like you said, there aren't that many civilizations on this planet that don't have some story or some creation myth that has something to do with star beings or beings from off the planet. So it's not, and again, like you said, it's not a question whether we're alone or not. We actually are. It's just a question of whether or not, when we discover it and let the whole public know that there's more than just us in the universe. And as far as I'm concerned, it's a question of, it's an unverified fact. Just mathematically speaking, there's 500 billion stars in our galaxy alone, and we have this one planet. So mathematically, averaged out, there's probably a couple million planets with life on it just in our galaxy alone. So there's no question for me. The answer is already there. It's clear. Just people don't want to see it.
I don't doubt it. I just never experienced it. So being skeptic, I need to experience it, and that's why I went to the Amazon. I was hoping to encounter that. Unfortunately, it didn't work for me. I'll have to go again.
I get a feeling that it will happen to you eventually.
It will. If you seek it enough, and like there's that old saying, you know, a man who seeks blood will find it. Well, whatever you seek, if you seek long enough, you will eventually find it. So it's just going to take a while.
I hope in my lifetime. And
I believe my experience with I had testicular cancer when I was 17, and I think that was definitely like a shamanic death for me because it spread to my stomach and lungs, and I actually lost one of them and had to go through chemo, and that's kind of when I woke up. That chemo, man. I jokingly call it chemical crucifixion. It's pretty rough. That's when I think I kind of awoke to everything. One thing I wanted to ask you is at the beginning of the show, I was talking about having some trouble with some people that I would consider enemies who are negative, abusive, people that will lie about you and make up stuff that's just totally like it's just sick, some of the stuff some of these people have said. I'm kind of curious I need to be reminded of this or schooled on it. From a shamanic perspective, how do you think we should deal with people like that?
Well, difficult people are basically our teachers. They are sent to us to remind us of who we are and where we're going. So in many ways, even if we don't like it, these are our teachers, and so in the shamanic tradition, you want to thank them for being here to remind you of your own path and who you are. So you can transform them to to your allies, and so in many ways there's no enemies. But and then of course there is the other side. If they're going to harm you, that's a different story altogether, and you have to protect yourself.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think they got the kahunas for that, but I definitely appreciate that perspective. And I'm no saint by any means, but I would never say some of the stuff that they've said. Like, I wouldn't even think that low. But I'm just trying to. One of the people had said something really bad, and my friend Blaze, who's going to be on the show, and he's in the Huna shamanism, the Hawaiian tradition, and he said when you think of them saying the thing that's so bad. Like, one of them said something about, I give porn to children, which is just the only child that I'm ever around is my 5-year-old daughter. So you could imagine how I got so mad about that someone would do that. It was like something a baby mama would say off Jerry Springer about somebody so they couldn't see their baby daddy anymore, making up stuff. It was that sick. But he said to remind yourself, basically to imagine that you're Gandalf and you're deflecting negative energy. And I use that. It's pretty funny. It works. It's like imagine that they're casting negative, dark, kind of like evil energy at you, and then I imagine that I am Gandalf the wizard, the light being, and reflecting it. So I think there's tools like that, too, to deal with people that are, that...
Oh, yes, absolutely. I mean, you also remember that people are not born bad. They are not born evil. In some of the Shamanic traditions, they believe that evil spirits enters people's body and they make them do things that are evil. So you can remove that negative energy, or you can understand that they are possessed, or they do things out of fear, and then that fear creates negativity. So if you can protect yourself, create shield around you, or do all the protection technique that I told you earlier, you can send this negative energy away. And many times we ourselves invite this negative energy into our life, and we have to take responsibility for that too.
Well, if our listeners are wondering, that was Guy Weddle, my former co-host, who is no longer on the network, and I celebrate that fact. But I appreciate that. It's definitely good to hear that from you, Itzhak, different ways to transmute that, so to speak. And that's one of my flaws. I'm a very quiet person, and then people bully me, and then that anger builds up. And sometimes it seems like during spring and summer when I'm in Florida, it's so hot, I feel more angry than usual. And then I'm real bad at, like, keeping quiet, and then when I get angry, like, I'll just say crazy stuff to people to mess with them that should be in a Stephen King novel or something. Like, if I was Hannibal Lecter, I'd eat your face. but I'm a Capricorn. We have a little dark side problem there, I think. But I'm glad to hear that and transmute it. And the Gandalf thing works for me, even though it's kind of cheesy. But I guess Gandalf's pretty cool, so it's not.
Well, you may want to look at what are the buttons they push where they able to take you off the balance, and then see where that come from and heal that part.
Yeah.
There's a whole concept of shamanic warrior in the shamanic tradition. And the shamanic warrior is a person who faces fear and understand where the fears come from and not run away. But first, if you understand your fear, then people cannot bully you around, because you can not react into the threat in the same way. So becoming a shamanic warrior is a very important part of the healing work that we do.
I just wanted to thank you. It's been an excellent experience. I've really enjoyed it, and our chat room is buzzing with positivity, and they're checking out for Christ on his phone or something. But hey, of course, we've enjoyed it. Jay's had some great questions. Do you have a website or anything like that?
My website is my name, itzhakbeery.com. And the Gift of Shamanism have a Facebook page. You can come and visit that. And you can please like it. And if you have questions, you can send me questions through my either Facebook or for my website, and I'll be happy to answer people's questions.
And that's I'll spell his name ITZHAKBEERY. That's the gift of shamanism, vision, power, ayahuasca dreams, and journeys to other realms. And I'll have to join your Facebook page for sure. And we really appreciate it. Thanks very much.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. And thank you so much for inviting me to speak to you.
All right.
Shamanism is now
the archive when this gets up and everything. If you want to share it and whatever, when we get it on the archive.
Wonderful.
All
do
right.
that.
Take care. Have a good weekend, everybody, and we'll see you next Friday. Church of Mabus radio show's back in business. Watch out. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.